Hi, Sen. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Congratulations once again on your admits.
Thanks.
Yeah. So please tell us about your profile, your work experience, and the industry.
Yeah. So I come with 9 years of experience from a power transmission industry. So right now I was working with as a regional manager for Bajaj Electricals Limited. Before this, I have also worked with other power transmission companies like KEC, Kalpataru, and Sterlite. So that makes me around total of around 9 years of experience. And as far as the functionality is concerned, so mainly my role has been into sales and business development. So going into my academics, I am a BTech electrical engineer, passed out in 2010-13. And apart from that, I have been, especially during the college and all, I have been quite active in sports as well. So I was a part of, sorry, I was the part of the inter-district championship that has been that was played in my state, and also I'm presently I am also part of an NGO which is working on with the underprivileged students on their educational front.
Excellent. Thank you. So, Sen, when you decided to, at 9 years of experience, the first challenge is to, decide that, yes, I want to take up a certain program. So, what is it that really motivated you? And then how did you come across or maybe, decide as to the 1 year programs being the best choice for you to go forward? So, what were important criteria that you
Yeah.
had in mind?
Yeah, so basically, since after 9 years of experience, I thought that I'd gained a considerable sort of an experience as far as sales is concerned. But going forward, I wanted to move in a more general management position or a leadership position where I can have a holistic overview of the business. But being said so, what I felt that as there are certain skill sets that I do lack in sort of a total business sense where I need to build in my capability, and I thought the best way to build those skill set would be to go through a structured program. So that's what motivated me sort of a field for an MBA program. And as far since I have already gained the 9 years of experience, I thought 2 years period would be too long for me to take a break at this stage for a 2 year, and 1 year would be much more suitable. Also, being said so, I was not much inclined to moving abroad. I wanted to do it from the India as well, from the India, in fact, because of the fact that, or from a long term perspective, I do not see myself staying abroad for a longer period of time. And when I say so, because if I want to come back to India, I feel that it doesn't make sense to do it from abroad from the ROI perspective. So I thought I would best apply to the best B schools that are available in the country itself. So that's what my thought process was.
Okay. Now coming to another eternal question, IIM versus ISB. What was your thought process in considering or evaluating the programs and the schools or
In the country, and all of them are offering a very sort of the what I am looking for towards probably after the program or so, or the skill sets that I want to gain in, probably all this would be a good platform to get in. But having said so, what I feel the only the advantage sort of a thing that probably I am mention is that from the ROI perspective, on the cost perspective, I am is a bit lower from what ISB is offering. And also number two is that ISB, if you look at the cohort, when I went through the research, what I felt was that ISB cohort is in general terms is a much a younger side. So their main cohort is from the 2 to 5 years of experience, while I have already passed that sort of an age bracket and have moved into the 9 years or 10 years of experience. So what I thought was that probably would give me the scope to have an interaction with that cohort who comes with a much larger experience that they bring into the class, and like we can probably that peer-to-peer learning, but I can learn from their experiences would be on a much higher scale in as far as the arms would be concerned. So that's the one thing. And I think that's the only thing that probably which I thought would be separating ISB and IIMs. But I guess ISB also brings in such other advantages as well. So, so probably sort of a neutral, but that's how my thought process was.
and they're all leading schools and leading programs. So
Yeah.
where you are looking at it from slightly makes a slight difference, but not much though.
True.
Right. So how was it getting back to studies, preparing for the GMAT after 9 years of your previous education?
Yeah, so I think the most the strenuous part was to get into that mind framework, because being outside for a so long without being outside the academics, so that sort of a discipline or that sort of a rigor to go into was something that was missing. So to build that habit took a bit of a time. So when I initially started, I started by my own, looking through some YouTube videos and all those stuff that are available on a free portal. While those were good, what I felt that the only thing that was missing, that without sort of a structured course framework, what I was missing was that I was not probably putting my dedication on a very regular basis. So then I thought that probably I will enroll with some program that are available, a paid program, because it has a definite time period attached to it and it a more structured way. So probably would help me get into sort of a rigor or routine. So that's how it was.
And how was the experience, and what were the important things that you think are really important for somebody? One, applying to these 1 year programs. Second, with a higher work experience applying to these programs in terms of the application process.
So what I felt, probably you have been a guide throughout that process. But what I feel was that it's very important when you come with a certain sort of an experience that shows in you, and what the institutes also looking forward when they hire someone, when they give the admission process to someone who has come with the experience, to showcase what have you learned from those experiences, what are the learning experiences that you bring into the table, what are the value addition, what are the unique features that you bring into the table. Apart from, obviously, you are going to a GMAT exam, probably some adaptability or some academic to rigor to go into it that has been built in. But apart from that, how has been your journey in the work profile? What's and how that those will impact, or that what additional value addition to the peer to peer learning that you would bring into the class is something that needs to be shown, and that needs to be highlighted in a very proper way, in a very proper and it needs to be synergetic with the story that you are bringing in. So those things needs to be in a very proper format showcased to the all the academic institutions.
So when we say showcased, what all are the important areas that really go into building a strong application?
I think, as but to elaborate a little, I think one is definitely the experiences that you have gained, and more than experiences, I think very important is what has been the learnings from the successes and failures that you have seen throughout the career, throughout your professional journey. Those learnings needs to be very much well to be highlighted. Number two is that what are the skill sets that you already developed, and where there is a gap, where probably an institution can come into the play and fill in those gaps, and how those two bringing in together can help you in your future aspirations. So these things need to be highlighted very well. And also, I think apart from that, and, it needs to be highlighted. And as I go into that, I would also say to have a good research in terms of what the institute is probably offering you. So what are your goals, and how the institution would be able to fill up those gaps, that needs to be highlighted. And third is, from a holistic perspective, although we come with 8-9 years of experience, also to bring in a bit of a personal story or outside the work experiences. And so those things also needs to be taken up, so to showcase that, no, that although we come with an experience, that we have a life outside, and also from there also we have come up with certain learnings and certain facets which might be helpful in bringing our value addition to the institution.
Right. And if you just look back at the last few months, maybe 6 to 8 months, are there any myths that you, thought that you carried while starting with this process, which you think differently about now?
Yeah, definitely. So there are two ways. One was definitely, number one was GMAT. When I started the GMAT, probably I thought that being from the engineering background, my quantitative skill sets was good enough to crack it. But I thought I lacked quite a lot in terms of my verbal skill set. So on those aspects, I thought that I have been able to bridge that gap. Then coming to the application, I think it was a different ball game altogether. So it made me go back to my probably my 20 years, last 20 years of a journey. So what has been the learnings? What are my key strengths? What are the key weaknesses? So I have been able to judge them well. Why probably down the line I had no idea about it, or I had an idea, but it helped me to revisit those and to get a fair sort of a way to express it. Also one another myth is that I felt that I used to feel that I am not very well in sort of articulating what are the in sort of my behavioral patterns or my behavioral skill sets in a very proper fashion. So this journey of writing the applications and these SOPs has helped me to overcome that. And definitely it also has given me a bit of a confidence when you feel that when you make it to the aspiration that you had to your college that you were aiming for, it gives you a sort of a confidence. So that has also been one of the things that has been developed over the last 6 months or so. Yeah.
So, how was the interview experience? What was important for the interview preparation?
And I think as far as so most of the B schools are probably as far as the interview process is concerned. So there are two to three things that you really focus on. One is definitely your professional experiences. Secondly, a good industry knowledge. The industry to which you bring in, you should have a holistic knowledge about that. Number three is also from the whatever is going on around the country or internationally. So those things are also means probably not from a point of view of a general knowledge, but somehow those things are being taken up and your viewpoint is always being asked. So not only do you do need to have a knowledge on that, but you should have a very clear viewpoint and you should articulate them. That's what your view, what is your judgment, which might be right or wrong, but you should have a viewpoint on that. That is why I felt that what they are looking for. So these are the three things, and apart from that, some basic knowledge is as far as different schools has different way. So sometimes they might go back to some mathematical concepts or something. So that has also sometime being explored, I think, during the interview. It was a nice sort of an experience. It was a good learning experiences as well, and I felt that as the number of interviews where I gave one or two, three interviews, those skill sets or those experience will also help me in the future because it helped me. The way to present myself has also been enhanced by it.
Right. And going forward for the people who are planning their application journey in the next few months, what would be some tips and strategies that you would suggest them to follow?
Yeah. So as far as the tips and suggestions, I would say the first is a very means it looks a very overwhelming at the very first go. So those and most of the time because of the way it is structured, or we haven't gone through such processes in the past, so it makes it a bit complicated. So in and then that application plays a very important role. I have seen some of my friends who have scored much better than me as far as the GMAT is concerned, but they're struggling these schools. So application is a very important thing, and it is as important as or more important than the GMAT score. So it needs to be dealt with very seriously, and I think, and if it is very important to showcase, which probably over the internet or anything as such, there are many essays or many such formats available. But the problem is that in most cases they are very generic in nature. What the B schools would like to hear from you is their own personal story, and they can figure it out if you just try to just edit and just use that essay only. So it's to give time to understand yourself. And since I have taken the professional consultation, so in case they're not very confident, I would advise them they can look for it, and to this they would definitely help you to understand yourself better in a better way, since this professional consultants have undergone the process, they know it very well. So they will not write the essay, but they can help to understand how to portray it, and also to understand so how your skill sets can be articulated in a very structured and within the specified word limits. So those are much be important, and adequate time must be given, and a professional consultation in case it's needed. So that must be adopted.
What would you suggest, should be some criteria that, somebody should look for when selecting an admissions consultant or somebody who can help them in the process?
I think I have been, in my experiences, I have been in touch with two to three or four consultants at the very beginning before shortlisting. So one of the very important things to look forward is this admission consultant probably helps around many candidates in a number. So it is not possible. Probably in most cases, what happens is that they will ask you, they will to take your sort of a resume or anything, ask you a few questions, and they will come up with a sort of application which is in their format. They have just edited it and have put it. I felt that that is not the right way. I think they should try to evaluate the consultant, how much they're listening to your story and how much they are trying to bring out something from yourself, rather than just giving a sort of putting it in a framework and putting their story in your sort of your achieve some experiences in a very specified format. So that needs to be looked at. Number two is how much time the consultant probably is giving it to you. In many cases, it happens that from the very instance they show that okay, that's a very easy process. You just give me your resume and your score, and I will write it down and will send it across to you. You can check and those. So I think it's better to avoid them, because even if that, since they're professional, if their application might look good, but you have to also justify it during your the admission process, during the interview process. So it is very important that your story comes out in a way so that you can justify it during the process as well. So I think that these are the two important things that needs to be evaluated.